So, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure and great excitement to greet all of you, our media colleagues, to officially kick off what is not just a new campaign for Boston, but to really launch an equitable recovery to our city's hospitality and tourism industry, which was economically devastated by this pandemic. As we know, many restaurants and bars that are located in our neighborhoods and are part of the hospitality ecosystems were also severely impacted. I am grateful for the opportunity to have worked on this project. This is a project that affects a city that I love, a city I've worked in for more than 30 years, and a city that I call my home, particularly at this historic time. This campaign is one that I believe is a game changer, for it's not only helping our economy to reopen safely, but it is doing so with a new narrative that truly reflects our city's history, its diversity, and its vibrancy. It was truly an honor to be the lead agency, and I can assure you that inclusion, equity, and diversity were part of this campaign. And in that spirit, I had the pleasure of partnering with the brilliant Darren Bascom, who is the founder of Proverb Advertising and Branding, and whose genius you will see reflected in the full panoply of this campaign. And to think about it, we did this in an awfully short time frame. My other key partner is Martha Sheridan, the president of Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau, which I believe is the premier and best-of-class hospitality, tourism, and marketing agency in the region. And although she's a relatively new player to this city, she came to this city and this campaign with the lenses of diversity and equity. This first-of-a-kind multimedia advertising and brand campaign is one that meets our historic moment. It is designed to rebuild, to reimagine, and re-engineer tourism and the economy in Boston as the city opens for summer of 2021. Symbolically, I believe this campaign is a passing of the baton from a white Irish mayor to a black woman, the first in the history of 200 years in this city. And Mayor Janey, as we know, is leading Boston to an equitable recovery, reopening, and renewal. For anyone who has followed this woman's career, you know that she is a passionate advocate for economic and equitable inclusion, which is one of the underlying principles behind this campaign and the economic recovery of tourism in Boston. The campaign is about encouraging an equitable recovery by attracting a broad cultural diversity of visitors to Boston while connecting our downtown to the city's vibrant and culturally rich neighborhoods, such as Roxbury and Dorchester and Jamaica Plain and Chinatown, the South End, East Boston, South Boston, really literally across the city's 23 neighborhoods, which represents some of the hardest hit economically. And so I am absolutely delighted to say that Mayor Janey is committed to ensuring that this city reopens safely and equitably with relief and renewal for every single neighborhood. It gives me a distinct honor and pleasure to present the Honorable Mayor of Boston and my friend, the Honorable Kim Janey.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that introduction, Colette. Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to be here with you. I apologize that the ASL interpreters were not available from the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing today, and we will make interpretation on video as well as full captioning available. I want to thank our host, Leslie Reed, who couldn't be with us today. She is the CEO of Madison Park Development Corporation, and Ola Kenwumi, the Hibernian Hall director. Thank you so much. Since its construction by the Ancient Order of Hibernians in 1913, Hibernian Hall has served as a robust social, cultural, and economic center. As Roxbury changed in the 1960s and welcomed Black migrants from the South, this site was repurposed as the Opportunial Industrialization Center, known to locals as OIC. OIC provided workforce development programs that prepared neighborhood residents for work. After a decade of vacancy and falling into disrepair, Madison Park Development Corporation purchased this building. Madison Park worked to fully restore and reopen in 2005. And since then, Hibernian Hall has served as the vibrant cultural hub of Nubian Square. It offers dance, theater, film, and more. Hibernian Hall's wonderful tradition of community engagement makes it ideal for today's campaign launch. Thank you again to Leslie and Ola for hosting us here today. I want to recognize the members of my team who led the strategic development of this exciting initiative. Kate Davis, the Director of Tourism, Sports, and Entertainment, and Midori Mukawaka, Interim Chief of Economic Development. Thank you both for your dedicated work and leadership on behalf of the City of Boston. I also want to especially thank Colette Phillips of Colette Phillips Communication and Darren Bascom of Proverb and Martha Sheridan of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. I appreciate your creative direction of this pioneering campaign. A year ago, the COVID-19 pandemic brought the travel and hospitality sector to a standstill. Almost overnight, hundreds of entrepreneurs lost their customers and thousands of workers lost their jobs. It was a devastating blow for the city of Boston. Travel and hospitality is Boston's third largest industry, with a workforce that is 70% people of color. Our public health and economic recovery from the pandemic must include the workers and businesses that have taken the hardest hit. Let me be clear, the pandemic is not over. We must continue to wear masks, wash our hands, maintain social distance, and get tested regularly. It is also important that we each get vaccinated when our turn comes. Our public health recovery is essential for the recovery, reopening, and renewal of Boston's travel and hospitality sector. In the months ahead, local shops, attractions, and restaurants are prepared safely to welcome guests. Food servers, tour guides, and hotel workers are ready to safely get back to work. So today, I am proud to announce All-Inclusive Boston. This campaign showcases Boston as a city with a new generation of diverse entrepreneurs, innovators, and artists, a city that is welcoming to everyone. For residents of our city and the region, I invite you to rediscover Boston's neighborhoods. From East Boston to Rosendale, our city is rich with a diverse array of cultural and culinary attractions. The All-Inclusive Boston campaign boldly puts our people and our neighborhoods front and center for the very first time. Informed by our phased reopening, the All-Inclusive Boston campaign safely welcomes visitors to Boston's vibrant, diverse neighborhoods. This campaign showcases the people who work every day to make our city great. All-Inclusive Boston is an important step in an equitable recovery for our city's diverse travel and hospitality industry. I am proud of this campaign and what it represents. With the launch of All-Inclusive Boston, we will begin to write the next chapter in Boston's safe recovery, reopening, and renewal. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my partner and friend, Martha Sheridan, who leads the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. And as many of you heard me say at the table, Martha and I became bonded when I found out that long before George Floyd, she hired for the first time at the Bureau, the number 2 in command was a black woman, the executive vice president. And that told me all I needed to know about this woman and her commitment to ensure that we were going to have a campaign that is inclusive and diverse. So Martha, come on up.
Thank you, Colette, and thank you, Mayor Janey. This is an exciting day for us. We've been working long and hard on this campaign. In fact, 6 months ago to the day, the contract was awarded to our 3-partner team, So it's been a long journey, and one that I will note was done completely virtually. In fact, I met Darren Bascom for the first time in person last Friday. We had never sat in the same room together. Yet, collectively, we came up with what I would like to say is a brilliant campaign. I'll be brief. I just want to start by saying and echoing the mayor's thoughts about the devastation that the tourism sector has experienced as a result of the pandemic. Jobs have been lost at significant rates, and they haven't come back yet. Income, revenue for the tourism sector is down as much as 70%. In fact, hotel room revenue is down 80% year over year. So we have a long way to go to recover from this devastation. And in fact, Boston is one of the hardest hit cities as a result of the pandemic when it comes to the tourism sector. So I like to say we can't hope and wish and pray our way out of this. We have to strategically work our way out of it and invest in a campaign that's going to put Boston at the top of mind for those that are looking to travel someday in the future. Not tomorrow, Mayor, I promise. We're not going to have droves coming in tomorrow. But, you know, we started this campaign with a very comprehensive and strategic research component to it, where we queried past visitors, potential visitors, and residents about their perceptions of Boston. In fact, at about 9 o'clock one night, we all watched live as those research results came in from the panel. And while nobody was terribly surprised, I will say we were probably disappointed in the fact that the narrative about Boston has been formed not by strategic investment in destination marketing programs. In fact, it's been formed by others, by the entertainment industry, movies, television, donkeys, which we love, don't get me wrong, and our pro teams. And that really was what people thought about our city. And we knew we had our work cut out for us, but I knew that with this team, we were going to take that research and make it into something as great as we did. So I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the city, former Mayor Walsh, and former members of his team on investing in this campaign with the CARES Act funds, because without that investment, this probably would never have happened. And then the last thing I'd like to say is, again, to Mayor Janey's point, this campaign isn't about bringing droves of visitors here tomorrow. Nothing could be further from the truth. While we would like to welcome people back to our city each and every day, the fact is we're responding to not scientific, but really specific data-driven traveler sentiment stories, people that we know want to travel but not yet. They are thinking about, where can I go this summer? Where can I book for the coming fall? Those are the people that we want to impress and really convince and keep Boston in the consideration set for when they're thinking about where they're going to take their vacations in the future. We need to be on that list. Boston is not the only city devastated by the pandemic from a travel perspective. So the competition is fierce. Every destination is going after the same traveler, and in fact, they're going after a much smaller group of travelers, as we cannot yet even appeal to international and far-reaching domestic travelers. So we're looking for drive market travelers, and again, we just want to inspire them. As the mayor said the other day, or someone from her staff, it's an aspirational campaign. We want them to think about Boston as they're making future travel plans. So again, I'm thrilled to be part of this team, and I'm really thrilled to introduce our partner, Darren Bascom, the founder of Proverb and the brilliant creative mind behind this campaign. So please enjoy what you're about to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Mayor Janey, thank you so much for this tremendous opportunity. Colette, thank you for your fearless leadership and for all that you do for the city all of the time. You know, at Proverb, you know, we're big believers that powerful brands are always connected to purpose-driven organizations, and and when we took on this assignment, it was really no exception. You know, in this moment, you know, we recognize that the stakes are incredibly high for our city and for our country. You know, COVID's had a disproportionate impact on, on all of us, Black, brown, and immigrant communities. And these are the same communities that really form the backbone of travel and hospitality. As I said before, the stakes are incredibly high. So we responded in a way that was both creative and strategic. BIPOC, LGBTQ+, Boston residents, business owners, among others. Representation matters. And we were intentional about who we worked with, what people, places, things in our city we showcased, what faces and voices that traditionally have been left out of the conversation, and present them in a way that they really are seen and heard, alongside with better known ones. And we came to recognize that while what happens between Fenway Park and Faneuil Hall is incredible, it doesn't tell the whole story. And that's what makes this campaign, in fact, so compelling. When it comes to our story, as Martha just said, popular media hasn't always been our friend. And as we looked at all of the research, not all of it was bad. One of the things that was revealed was that when people knew more about our city, their interests were piqued. And so we really tried to sort of build off of that point of strength. I moved here over 30 years ago to go to college, raised a family here, built a successful company. And while the city hasn't changed as much as some of us might like, it has changed inside of that time. It has become more diverse. It has become more international. It's become more cosmopolitan. I'd even say that it's even become hipper. And so, as I said before, we're all about purpose in the work that we do. We think that all-inclusive Boston is an idea that this city can own and grow into over time. So I'll start to reveal some of our thinking behind the campaign. As we both looked at the research and started to think a little bit about, how we wanted to respond, we really wanted to present something that we thought was hopeful, something that was optimistic. One of the points that consistently came up was that people wanted to see real individuals, hear real stories, see real places, and to really sort of underscore a level of authenticity. We also really tried to strike a tone that was both empathetic, compassionate, and we played close attention to every point of communication, all the way down to the colors, the typography, the point of view of the photography. And we settled in on this idea of maybe you don't know Boston, maybe you don't know our festivals or our public art or the magic of how our global and regional cultures come together. Maybe you don't know sort of everything that we have to offer in terms of cuisine. Maybe you don't know all of our histories in our collective bones. Let us introduce you to a Boston that you may not know yet. And so inside of our efforts, we really wanted to connect neighborhoods. We wanted to attract visitors. We wanted to increase visibility, demand representation, support small business, and shift the lens. So, all-inclusive Boston really tries to sort of build off of everything from the color of our cobblestones to the color of the leaves as they turn to the patina that you see on our copper. We really wanted to sort of showcase and introduce you to all types of members of our city, like Aletha, who's an artist. We also really wanted to sort of present all aspects of our city at a level that they really are iconic. Showcasing TJ and Hadley alongside the MFA, alongside 50 Kitchen. Presenting culinary icons of our city like Joanne Chang and Karen Ekonowitz. Our photography and really sort of the sponsor of our look and feel was developed by a local photographer, Harry Scales, who's a street photographer, and his partnership was essential in this. And Untu Astudillo, who is our videographer. We'll also be sort of rolling out the campaign in and around the city. This is somewhat emblematic of the types of opportunities where we're looking to surprise and delight members of our city. So you'll see the campaign showing up on our street furniture and on our buses, and as well as making a significant push on digital in a number of different forms. There's also a digital magazine which is underway, which we'll be rolling out as a part of this exercise. And all of our efforts are really looking to push eyes, ears, and hearts to allinclusiveboss.com, which is on the CVB's website. And lastly, this is really sort of the launch video of our campaign. And so without greater ado, here we go. Our narrator is Boston's Poet Laureate, Portia Eleguala.
Boston. It's the city you know. The city of history. The city of champions. But we are also a city of people. A city of resilient, passionate, determined, loving people who have overcome odds and stared down challenges. A city of cobblestones and corner stores, mom and pops, five-star shops, unwavering classics. This is a city where new voices are emerging, determined to work harder, dream bigger, and become stronger. Whatever you seek, whoever you are, There's a place for you here. An unexpected adventure, a fresh flavor, a sound you've never heard before. Our doors are open. Our tables are set. This is Boston, and we are all inclusive. Join us at allinclusiveboss.com.
Thank you.
So now we'll open up the floor for questions that you may have.
I was wondering, with the campaign, I saw that you're going to display it in parts of Boston. But if you're targeting tourists and visitors, will it appear in other cities around the country or other airports, even regionally, like say in Hartford, Connecticut, or in New York?
I'm going to have Martha answer that question, and Darren, too.
Hi, yes, great question. Yeah, we have a comprehensive media buy that includes, we like to call it a concentric circle approach. So because we're trying to shift the narrative for Bostonians and Mass residents, we're focusing on Boston proper, and then again, Massachusetts, New England, and we go as far out with our ads as the tri-state area. So we're focusing really right now on the drive market because we know that's the realistic target market for us to attract at this time. We're not going to approach, domestic, distant domestic or international yet, but perhaps if there are other funds available, we could expand that reach when the time is right. Darren, did you want to add something?
The only thing that I would add is to Martha's point, we really are focused on, how we can drive net new revenue into, all businesses and sort of all entities within our city. And so, it could be, something as local as, if you're in one part of the city, going out and supporting a business of another part. And then clearly, as Martha had just described, being able to sort of introduce ourselves to people who may be coming from outside of the region.
Darren, you talked about, I thought it struck me when you said you wanted to show people that Boston could be hip. It struck me as that she laughs or anything like that. So you acknowledge kind of that's an image change that you feel it needs to be done. You said hip, and you got 10 cities, Boston. Not going to come high on that list, and that's something you're looking to change, right?
I think that I think Boston's already changing, and so for us, it was really much more around, how to reveal many of the things that are already happening in the city. These were all real people, these were all real places, and what we chose to do was to curate a suite of moments, that underscore, that transition.
But you're trying to get people when you say that not to laugh, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, not laugh, but Boston is
You
hip.
want the image to change enough that doesn't seem like a far-fetched thing.
Right.
No, and we want people to think of Boston the way we see Boston. Inclusive, diverse, vibrant, exciting. I mean, you cannot look at that video and not feel, Darren and I are two people who came here to go to school from other parts and stayed. This campaign vindicates and validates the reason why we stayed, because we saw something special about Boston.
Yeah, I also think that, all of those things that Colette just pointed to help to fuel innovation. The way that you innovate consistently is you bring new thinking to pre-existing problems, and so inclusion and diversity is a part of that ecosystem, and so what we've really tried to do here is to underscore those things. We're also a very young city, and so the things that we showcase here aren't entirely new; they just haven't been what we've chosen to lean on
Let me say
in
something
campaigns.
to that point. So they are transplants who came here for school. I am someone who grew up in this city, and every time that I see this video, and certainly the first time, really moved me. And it moves me because for the first time I see our city promoting itself in a way that I feel seen. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that or who feels that. Our city is wonderful. It is great. And there are so many wonderful things that happen every single day with ordinary people right in our neighborhoods. And so to have this campaign really validate that, I think is so powerful, particularly as we focus on recovery, reopening, and renewal, and making sure that that is equitable as we come out of this pandemic. And as we deal with structural racism and the wounds that still remain here. And so I think this is a powerful way to showcase all that is so amazing about our city, that is already here, that has been changing over time. And to see it in this campaign all together, I just think is incredible. And there is a lot that we can do now, even before we open the doors widely to visitors, just to showcase our own communities and neighborhoods. And so if you have a neighborhood spot that's down the block for you that you like to get your food from, maybe you will try something in another neighborhood. So this is just, I think, a very powerful campaign, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. So thank you.
Boston has a rich history, as you know, and some of it has been known as Boston being a racist city. Even the other day on Saturday Night Live, they took a dig at Boston, you know, being a racist city. Is part of this campaign to try and kill that stigma, or step away from that stigma? And how challenging will that be? And I'm not sure if you saw the dig.
I did not see Saturday Night Live. I'll admit that I went to bed early to get ready for Easter Sunday. You know, Boston does have a reputation as being a racist city. We all know that here. And we all have a lot of work to do. I think we have come very far. I am standing here before you as the first black mayor of our city and first woman mayor, and that symbolizes how far we've come, but I've been the first to say that we have a lot more work to do. I think this campaign showcases a Boston that currently exists, and that is what is so powerful about this campaign. We have more work to do, and I'm grateful to work with everyone who wants to take on that challenge and bring more people in to solve these problems together.
Have that viewpoint and that would sort of deter them from coming? Well, we don't want to go to Boston because of that stigma.
So I've heard that from friends who live. I've heard from friends who live in other places that, you know, Boston's reputation is one of being a racist city. I think when we peel back the onion, we see that there's a lot of great things that are happening in our city. There's a lot that we can build upon, and we know that there are other cities that have challenges as well. This is something that we have to do collectively as an entire country. And I'm grateful that here in Boston, I get to work with folks like Colette and Darren and others to showcase what is amazing about our city. So thank you. Yes.
You think people are afraid still to travel and come to, and tour, or you think they're ready now to come and travel?
Well, I think we have to continue to be informed by the data and listen to the guidance from our public health officials. And I'm proud that we are joined here today by Chief Marty Martinez, who is our Chief of Health and Human Services. We have to make sure that we are making decisions as a city and as individuals in our city that is informed by the data. And so I will repeat the importance of doing our part as residents in terms of wearing our masks, washing our hands, making sure that we get tested, making sure that we're keeping our social distance, and please get vaccinated when your turn comes. We want to be ready for when we continue. You talked about the circles, and I think that is a good way to think about this, but we will be guided by the data, and we will be ready to open our arms widely and to welcome more and more folks in as the science permits. Yes, please.
So that is a good question. We track, as I said, traveler sentiment, which tells us every week how likely travelers are feeling about traveling. And obviously the vaccine is giving people, I think, more confidence and more willingness to travel. But I do want to say, just as Mayor Janey pointed out about the residents, the businesses in this sector are doing everything that they can to ensure safe travel. Every hotel, every restaurant, our tour operators, our airlines, they are putting in protocols in place that are beyond what's required because they want to ensure the safety of not only the visitor and the residents, but their associates as well. They know that nothing is more important than getting their associates back to work and keeping them safe once they are back there. So it's not going to be overnight, but when we have more visitors coming in, believe me, these businesses will be ready to welcome them.
Ms. Collette, how long have you guys been working on this campaign, and when did you know that you were going to have this?
We got the beginning of November, November 2nd.
To the date.
Right,
Today,
exactly.
we got the contract.
And we actually were supposed to end this like at the end of December, but, you know, here we are. We think this is the absolute most appropriate time to be doing this as people are getting vaccinated and thinking about travel. We want to be top of mind. And I think somebody was saying about, yes, we think this campaign gives people an opportunity to really see Boston the way we see Boston and the Boston we know, you know. And yes, I did hear and see the Saturday Night Live. I think when this campaign picks up steam, that it will certainly diminish that perception.
But you mentioned that the time passing from Mayor Walsh to now Mayor Janey.
Absolutely.
Has there been much that changed with this campaign? over
No,
the course of this
no. And that's why I said this is a campaign where the moment is met, because this is a historic moment with the first black, first female mayor, and a campaign that celebrates Boston's rich, vibrant diversity. What could be more appropriate? So the timing was brilliant. I wish I could say we timed it that way. But they said when you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny.
Mayor, when you say to critics who say, gee, it's crazy to think you're going to get tourists, instead of going to Fenway or the North End, to come to a restaurant in Roxbury?
We have amazing food in Roxbury, Rosendale, Jamaica Plain, East Boston, Hyde Park. We have wonderful neighborhoods, wonderful entrepreneurs and restaurants that are doing incredible work, that have had a very difficult time during this pandemic. Obviously, there are great things to see at Fenway and other places center to our city, but there are great things to see in our neighborhoods. And at the appropriate time, certainly encourage folks to do just that. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.